Welcome back, everyone. I'm Scott Sims here with Randy Renault this hour. This is our continuing coverage of the situation in southern Quebec and eastern Ontario. So please stay with us. We'll have all the details with power outages. 3 million people in southern Quebec are still without power. At this hour, we'll have more on Earthwatch News, 15 and 45 minutes past the hour. Randy Renault will have your complete forecast, so please stay with us. As long as we are on the air, we too have a small power outage, but we're going because of just a few small generators. So please bear with us. Your local forecast. It's up next. Welcome back, everyone. We're continuing our coverage of what's happening in southern Quebec and eastern Ontario. 40 communities in eastern Ontario under a state of emergency, including the city of Ottawa, their first ever because of bad weather. Now, let's take a look at what happened earlier in Montreal. This was the scene with all the ice on the roadways, on the sidewalks and trees, of course, and with fallen tree branches, they downed many power lines. At this hour, more than 3 million people are without power. Quite a few people, hundreds of thousands of people are without water, and also we have about 40,000 customers without phone service. And also, the subway line in Montreal was shut down just a few times, and there you see people waiting for the bus. In some areas, they had to wait for over an hour, and the road conditions are slowly becoming better. The freezing rain has stopped, but we're still dealing with all that thick ice out there. So far, 8 centimeters have accumulated since Tuesday. Okay, now stay with us throughout the hour, more details, but first let's go to Randy in studio for the latest details. We also have very cold conditions in the prairies. Randy.
Thanks, Scott, and our hats have to go off to all the armed forces who have come into town to deal with the situation just as they went into Winnipeg and southern Manitoba for the flood, and the hydro crews which have been working around the clock to try and restore power. Now, downtown Montreal did enjoy power right through until Friday afternoon, and then it went out, so even the hotels where people have been staying due to the blackout, they have lost power too. And the Eaton Center in downtown Montreal, the roof collapsed. It was acting as a refuge for many people. The roof collapsed, and they had to evacuate the people from there. This is the circulation of the system in the eastern portion of the country. Now, Scott mentioned the cold air down into the prairies. That's because on the western side of that cold air from the Arctic is being pulled down, and the circulation in the south has dissipated somewhat, so the warm air no longer being pumped up quite the way it was. Now, mind you, the temperatures have gone above the zero mark in Ottawa and Montreal, so the freezing rain has finally ended. Thank you. It's been one system after another, and the third one continued the freezing rain. But now the freezing rain has extended across into Atlantic Canada. We have freezing rain right now. Moncton, Sydney continue to experience freezing rain, and Fredericton has changed over to light snow. Charlottetown, it has been mainly as light snow, about 8 centimeters of snow, so that's good news. Much rather have the snow. Freezing drizzle across many parts of Newfoundland, including St. John's and Gander. Now we have snow north of Montreal, and it's blowing snow as well. We're looking at 10 to 15 centimeters of snow. It's going to move across into northern New Brunswick, about 10 centimeters of snow expected. We also have blowing snow in the Winnipeg and north through the Interlake region, and that is continuing and moving across into northwestern Ontario. Around 5 centimeters of snow for Winnipeg, but the wind chills very, very cold, and that will not end on Saturday. The wind chills are going to continue to be around minus 41, and with some snow added in, it makes for reduced visibility and dangerous wind chills. Regina as well, still experiencing some blowing snow, and cold air coming down from the north all along the BC coast is below seasonal in Prince Rupert. Vancouver, not as bad, but minus 16 with the wind chills. Scott?
Thank you, Randy. Well, this just in, the roof at the Montreal Eaton Center downtown has not collapsed. It's still a precarious situation. There's a lot of ice on top of the building. They are monitoring as we speak. The problem there is that it's a makeshift shelter. The Eaton Center is being used as a shelter, and people had to evacuate because of the threat of the roof collapsing. It's not collapsed, but they are monitoring the situation. Now, across the west, it is extremely cool. Starting in northwestern Ontario, back towards Alberta, Thunder Bay, it feels like minus 32, in the mid-minus 30s for Kenora and Winnipeg at minus 41. That's what it's going to feel like for Saturday afternoon. This is probably not a good day to be doing outdoor activity. And, of course, around minus 30 into Calgary and Edmonton, rather, minus 36. And it feels like it's going to feel like a minus 38 into Regina, and that is close to 2,000 watts per square meter when you measure the actual wind chills. Let's go back in studio now with Randy. I understand we still have freezing rain at this hour in the Maritimes, and we've had calls about freezing rain beginning in eastern Newfoundland as well. Randy.
That's right, Scott, and it is going to be coming to an end through the morning hours on Saturday, so this whole thing should be over by Saturday afternoon, including the snow across northern New Brunswick. You'll have about 10 centimeters to deal with, but that too will come to an end Saturday afternoon as the very cold air across the prairies is wrapped around this low and is spreading across, bringing drier air all the way eastward. Now, we're going to continue to have some light snow across eastern Newfoundland, but just flurries for western Newfoundland, and for the most part, clouds and flurries from that point westward all the way through into northwestern Ontario. Southern Ontario, southern Quebec, so the temperatures will move in some areas just above the zero mark in advance of this cold front, so we could see some melting of those ice-laden branches and power lines. So that is good news for the power crews, the hydro crews. But the temperatures are not going to be a whole lot milder than zero because, again, the cold air is coming from the prairies and being wrapped around this low. Very cold temperatures across the prairies. These are dangerously cold northerly winds, minus 36 to minus 41 from Thunder Bay all the way through into northern BC. Regina, the blowing snow is going to continue. Prince George, minus 38 with your wind chills and minus 19 down into the Okanagan Valley. It will be cool but sunny along the BC coast through into Sunday. A little bit milder as well coming up on Sunday in BC. And the prairies will continue very cold for the next few days, so brace yourselves.
Hello everyone, I'm Scott Sims and this is Earthwatch News. The freezing rain may have stopped, but the emergency is likely to remain for a while yet. Now, the 1.5 million customers across eastern Ontario and southern Quebec are in the cold and dark again for another night. The city of Brockville between Kingston and Ottawa has been completely blacked out. Cornwall near the Quebec border was blacked out on Thursday and is still having problems at this hour. In southern Quebec, the situation is critical. Hydro lines have blocked highways with transmission towers crashing to the ground near Montreal. Radio towers have also fallen, forcing a major English station off the air. Many people have been injured from falling on icy surfaces, and at this hour, hospital emergency rooms in and around the city are crammed. 40,000 Bell customers have no telephone service, and Friday afternoon, water was cut to residents all over Montreal Island. Police have advised people with no water or power to evacuate their homes and move into temporary shelters set up for this type of emergency. Authorities are asking people who have running water to cut their usage by at least 50%. Downtown officials say the roof of the Eaton Center is in danger of collapsing under pressure from thick ice in Montreal. There had been an earlier report that the roof had collapsed and 100 people taking shelter in the complex had to evacuate. Well, they were evacuated from the building, but only as a precaution. Most of the downtown core is in total darkness. There are only small pockets of light and heat covering isolated blocks in different areas. The number of armed forces personnel deployed in the region has now increased to 6,000 members. They are helping hydro crews and relief workers. 3 million Quebecers are still without electricity. Hydro-Quebec says much of the power to the Montreal area may be restored in the next 48 to 72 hours. Streets are littered not only with the fallen power lines, but with thousands of fallen branches. 3 major bridges from Montreal to communities on the South Shore were shut down, and Quebec police are urging motorists to stay off the highways altogether. Surfaces are solid ice in many areas, and conditions are extremely treacherous. People found out the hard way that Montreal subway trains run on electricity. Many riders were stranded in darkened tunnels when the metro lost electricity. That was earlier today. It happened a couple times, as a matter of fact. At last word, all the lines are running now except for one. But there is some good news. The horrible weather is over. Now we have more on the ice storm and the forecast from Colette Kennedy in Montreal.
Well, it seems as though the calmer weather is almost here. In fact, by the morning, the weather should be restored to normal, but it's rather bittersweet after 5 days of freezing rain in the Montreal area. And as you can see here, nearly 7 centimeters of it piling up on absolutely everything. Now, I say that the weather gets back to normal. We might even see some mild temperatures through the day for Saturday after a little bit of light snow tonight. So Ottawa could pick up to 5 centimeters, a little less for Montreal. But then, as we get into Saturday and Sunday night, temperatures fall to normal lows, which are around -7, -8. So with temperatures like that, that means all of this ice is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to melt. You can see the trees bowing under the weight of it, and if we get a system bringing in winds or snow, it's only going to exacerbate the situation.
And that's meteorologist Colette Kennedy. The Ottawa region is still under a state of emergency. Power is out to a large number of people, and hydro crews are out in force in the capital region. We have more on the situation in Ottawa now from Brian Letourneau.
The municipality of Ottawa-Carleton continues to be under a state of emergency. The latest word is that this will continue indefinitely. The freezing rain has ended, but it's snowing now, and that will make driving hazardous. The Ontario Provincial Police are telling people to stay off the roads so that hydro crews can continue their work in clearing debris and restoring power. 2,000 military personnel arrived in the capital region today from CFB Petawawa. Many of the troops have been deployed to various townships and communities in and around Ottawa. Essentially, their role is to help clear the roads of downed trees and to get supplies to those people who have been housebound and without power for the past 4 days. This is the largest military operation in Ottawa since the FLQ crisis of 1970. Numerous shelters have been set up across the region for those people without power, mostly in the rural areas. They've been the hardest hit by the ice storm this week. As for power outages, approximately 25,000 customers are without power in the capital region. Across the river in the Outaouais, about 60,000 people are without power. Ontario Hydro is saying that if the weather cooperates, power should be restored by the end of the weekend. Reporting for the Weather Network, I'm Brian Letourneau in Ottawa.
Thank you, Brian. The storm has also affected the Maritimes, but things haven't been nearly as bad. Now, flights from the east coast to Montreal and Ottawa were scrapped because of treacherous landing conditions at destination points. Meanwhile, victims of ice storm damage are being advised to contact their insurance agents as soon as possible to file claims. Ontarians are being told that damage to homes and cars caused by fallen tree limbs would typically be covered. More in just a moment. Stay with us.
The committee doling out ice storm compensation in eastern Ontario has rejected nearly 1/5 of all the claims that it has processed so far. Committee head Jim Bennett said today about 2,200 claims didn't meet the basic criteria. The committee has about 100 adjusters processing claims. to determine how to hand out the $41 million that was gathered through fundraising and matching provincial grants.